Hey everybody, it's Coors Heavy. It's Tuesday night, 7 o'clock. It's That's Cool Drink. My text message machine is on here and people are texting me. Let me turn that off so I can give you my undivided attention because we got a great one tonight. I've got Royce Payton. He is the pilot and the builder of the Nightmare Mustang. I know you've seen it. I know you've heard it if you haven't seen it. It's absolutely awesome. It's a fully gangster, blown, alcohol injected. I mean, it's like a top alcohol motor stuffed in the frame rails of a first gen Mustang, like a 65 Mustang with, Shelby livery on top of it. So it's going to be awesome. We're going to talk about the Nightmare. We're going to talk about Royce. We're going to talk about his new project that he's unleashing. This thing rolls on the big steamroller tires. His other one is going to be a not steamroller tire car. So there's the steamrollers. I think he just got tired of spending money on gigantic tires. I think that's what happened. And he sees all of his friends only spending, $275 per tire. And he's like, I would kill people for $275 tires. But we're going to talk about his new stuff. We're going to talk about what's going on, racing with his family. We couldn't, unfortunately, we couldn't get his wife to join in on front of the camera. So she's watching from behind the scenes. But everybody tonight is going to be absolutely awesome. Janae Hammond, welcome. Thanks for tuning in. Little bit of what I've been doing. I was just at Wild West Drag Fest 6. Also, Royce was at Wild West Drag Fest 6. So we'll talk about that. Absolutely awesome. Yellowstone Drag Strip lays it down. That place is absolutely amazing. If you get a chance to go check it out, do. It's great walls, fully paved pits, amazing bathrooms. They've got a 10-foot diameter fire pit that they throw pallets in and burn them, and it's right next to a beer garden. You can party with dudes that you raced with all day. It was absolutely awesome. Absolutely awesome. Plan to make a trip out there at some point to spectate, to race, to do whatever. Hang out with your homies there. It's an absolutely cool place. And cannot give them enough kudos. That place was so much fun, super accommodating, and amazing racing, man. They laid it down. It was super cool. Royce raced in Big Tire. They had a $10,000 pot for Big Tire, and he didn't take home 10 grand, which sucks for him and me. I think we were talking about me like splitting that or so. I don't know. His manager now. But that said, that was awesome. That was super duper cool. 2 weeks from now, I am doing Friday and Saturday right before race week, Texas versus the World. It's a Volkswagen race. What's cool to note for race week type people, the 13th, they are open for all makes, all models for a 650 and 8.0 index. They've got a ladies bracket race. So Wicked Chicks, you can bracket race if you want Friday night. But it's an XRP. So it's just about an hour and a half from the start track of race week. So that'll give you a chance to test if you feel like doing that. Check it out. And then race week, right after it, we're doing, back-to-back events, which is super cool because this one will pay for the travel for this one. You see how I do that? I'm like a businessman now. Not really. I'm just an idiot that flies around and stays away from home for 2 weeks to do drag racing because I love this shit, you guys. It's amazing. End of the month, I am going to be at the NMCA World Street Finals, Indianapolis. So September 20th through 22nd. It's going to be awesome, man. The weekend after race week, doing it again out at Indy. That's going to be absolutely gangster. So, Neil, what's up, man? Neil from Bang Shift. Appreciate you joining in. Like always, you're a gangster. But that said, let me do this fancy little countdown thing, and we'll bring up Royce, and we will talk blown, injected, lenco, streetcar idiocy, on the road, doing the thing, and yeah, dude, 7-second streetcar type of shit. That's how we're going to go tonight. It's going to be awesome. Here we go, guys. Yes, sir.
What's up, everybody?
That's cool. Drink, everybody. We got Royce on, man. Thank you so much for being on. I think this is going to be an awesome show. I'm really excited to rap with you about your car, about your history, about your new car, about racing with your fit. Like I said in the intro, man, I'm excited for this. Like we kind of been, like at least acquaintance homies since the
Forever.
hotel parking lot that you had your engine all apart.
That
And
does not narrow it down.
yeah, exactly. And I think you needed rocker arms. And I think that's when we figured out that the bearings from the Crowler small block Ford rocker arms will work on a big block Chevrolet rocker arm.
Yep.
And and I think that's maybe the first drag and drive you finished as well.
I think it is.
Yeah. So yeah, and I think that was maybe, I don't even know, 2017, 16.
I think it was 17 because I struggled a couple of years trying to get this stuff figured out.
Yeah. So, I mean, 6 or 7 years, and we spent a combined maybe 20 minutes talking to each other,
right?
And 10 of that was at Bill Armstrong's house when he was unveiling the Bane Ship Billy. So,
right.
So that's why I do these, dude. Like, we get a chance to meet each other, but we get to sit down, have a couple of drinks, have a few of our homies on, and dig a little bit into what makes Royce Royce. So, so first off, dude, Wild West Drag Fest 6. Talk to us about. I know you just did Big Sky Race Week. And you won Big Sky Race Week, right?
We did win that. We had some troubles, but we were able to have just a few less troubles than everybody else behind us. So
isn't that just drag and drive though? Like you just have to have one less trouble than the other guy, and then you can win.
Yeah, we had a close call. We almost didn't make it, but I don't know. It just works out in drag and drive. You have somebody at the right place at the right time to help make a part or get you a part or whatever it is you need. I needed an oil pump shaft, and happened to be a guy in that town that had a machine shop in his garage that was able to make us one from scratch. Was
whittle you an oil pump shaft?
Yep, and it's better than the one I started with.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah,
and that started and finished at Yellowstone. So you've been there before.
Awesome. That was the first time I was there.
Okay, that was the first time I was there.
Was for the drag and drive because I've been wanting to do Montana for years. For a drag and drive, and finally these guys put together an event, and I just had to do it.
Talk to us about it. Yellowstone's amazing. Absolutely amazing. Like I was saying in the kind of opening, fully paved pits. There's people are like they're perfect. Well, no, there's a few sections where there's whoops and stuff, but your pit area is ginormous. Like you have
for a small track, that thing is just off the hook. Like everything about it is great. The more we can help support that, the better off for everybody.
Yeah.
And I can't believe they don't have the car count that we're used to, I would expect that place to be flooded with cars as nice as that facility is.
For sure. Big payout races like this, that's
exactly.
That's no shit money there. And even, even True Street, $2,500 pays for your weekend.
And they were fast cars too. Every one of those fast cars, this True Street was just as fast as, small tire and some of the big tire cars.
Hell yeah, dude.
Sean, the open comp class was fast. You had blown alcohol dragsters in the class. Like
exactly.
And no joke there.
You got to drive one of them or got to race one of those.
Right. Yeah.
And so did and so did Jason.
Yep.
So Jason had the closest race of the whole weekend. He lost by 68 10,000ths of a second. Cut it like a 40 light against the other guys like 12 and ran his number with a 4. And the dude took 64 10,000ths of a second of stripe in the 8th mile. And it was actually slower than Jason's car. So Jason actually was chasing this. I think it was an altered. And
Jason was drifting half of that track. Like it was slippery.
Hell yeah. And he was driving, and he's like, I'm not going to let out of it. Like, I think I'm going to be okay. And so he had the closest race of the weekend. But It was fun as hell. How long of a drive is it for you out of northern Colorado?
I think straight through it'd be about 8 hours.
Okay.
I on my way up there, I split it up and did half. I kicked off at Casper and then got up the next morning because trying to do that all in one shot when you're tired of working on everything till 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, just trying to be ready, it's tough to do in one shot. So
Right, definitely. For sure doable if I mean, whatever, you got your stuff, you're pooping a group
I don't
and
never.
which you never, yeah, exactly. I mean, it's whatever.
I thought
Your
I did
craft's
until I checked one more thing and was like, nope, tear it apart.
right. And then, I mean, it's a good note that your crap is currently broken. And you were saying
Yep.
like I could be in the garage fixing it right now, but I'm doing this while other people are fixing their stuff, listening to us
Yeah, that's
talk,
right.
talk about crap. But whatever, you'll have a chance to fix it. Um, but talk to us about the Nightmare Mustang. When did you get it? What the hell is it? Why is it insane now? Like, why did you decide to put a freaking gigantic blower and a injector hat out of it? Like, what is it? Talk to us about it.
So when I was 16, I used to help out my neighbor next door growing up, and he had this car project, and he really didn't want this car around no more. And I had a little interest to it, and I always wanted a pro street car, and so that's why I kind of showed some interest to it. And then he ended up just giving the car to me. He's like, "If you want that thing, you can have it." And it was such a basket case, like it really should have been crushed. And then
Right.
I hung on to it for a few years. I ended up getting another car to race, which was a '71 Torino that I got. And
Do you still have
over the
that?
years, we started putting this car together, and then I just never really got motivated to finish the car. And then a good friend of mine, Jay Steinbach, helped me out with getting a roll cage put in it. And then back when Pink's was coming to town, we got the Kelly Harvey and I decided let's put together, what we got together and build this car. So I had the car, and he got a power plant, and that actually was out of Kevin Guthrie's car.
Okay.
And so he helped us out with getting us, the motor and everything. And then we took the dragster transmission out of Kelly's dragster and we put that in there as well. And we were able to go do Pink's All Out with it. And I actually licensed the week before that event. We actually got it running.
Wow.
And so that was in 2008.
So you had a totally new combo that you went and licensed the week before and then took it to the racetrack.
And yeah, we didn't know a whole lot about it. So in 2008, that's what drove us to get the car done. And so then we played with it for another year or so. And then Kelly decided he wanted to build a door car. So we parked it and then took a lot of the stuff off of it so he could put his car together. And I took a couple of years off. And then eventually we were able to get the car back together and we started doing some more heads up, like door car stuff, just track racing.
Mm-hmm.
And then 2015 rolled around and Matt Frost was doing a little bit of like some like no prep racing and some street racing. And I was interested in that kind of stuff because that's what we did quite a bit, just growing up.
Yeah, back in the day.
Yeah. And so then I tried to get involved in some of that. And then they put together they had a little group they put together down in PPIR with the Colorado Street Outlaws. And so I put the car together for that. And we started testing and doing some of that kind of stuff. And then Rocky Mountain Race Week came about, and then we were able to, with the technology we were putting on the car, decided, well, let's put EFI on it now and see if we can still continue to move forward with that.
Hell yeah.
And then that was a struggle getting that figured out. But
I mean, you can't just kind of like hit a switch and say like, we're going to switch from barrel valves to fuel injectors and it's going to go no problem. I mean, that's a thing for sure. Back up real quick. In 2008, how quick was that car when you first put it together?
Well, we put the car together and it had an 850 cage in it.
Okay.
And the first weekend we had it out testing, we were going 820s with it.
Nice. Hell yeah. So for like a out of the trailer, like brand new build car, like 820s.
Yeah. So then I had to add, funny car cage and that stuff to be able to cert 750s. And then that's where the car's at now. So,
okay. So it's still got a 750 cert, just standard Halo cage in it.
Yep.
Awesome. And then how quick has it ever been? What's its PB?
Fastest we've been with the car was 32 at 193. That was in
That's
Topeka.
that's freaking cooking,
So,
man.
yeah,
That is
it was good.
that is cooking. And
I wish I
it
could remember all the data and everything that went along with that, so I
for
could
the
get back
for
in
the
that
folks
range.
that don't know as well, that the Colorado Street Outlaws deal was super cool. It was kind of the first like no prep that we had in
Sure.
Colorado. They were racing on the pit road at PPIR at Pikes Peak International Raceway, which is actually a beautiful facility. They built it for like NASCAR type racing. I think they only got like up to a Busch Series race there. It was kind of a flop, and I think it still just sits there for the most part. But a bunch of dudes got together and put a. I mean, it's pit road, dude. I mean, there ain't no prep, there ain't no
Yeah,
rubber. I mean, it's
it was
bare
awesome.
concrete.
Yep.
It's as close as you can get to street racing without being on a street, and it
Right.
was cool, man. It was a really really cool deal. And you learn a lot about your combo real fast down there. And
Yeah, and we
I
actually started.
imagine,
We were getting too fast for that place, and it was starting to get to where when you shut down and have to make that bank on the corner, there was a time or two where we were real close to smacking the wall with the side of the car because just couldn't get it shut down fast enough.
right? I mean, Bill Armstrong flat spotted two front tires out there.
Yeah.
That same exact thing, and I mean, his car's real slow on the front end and real fast on the back end.
Right.
And yeah, it starts building a lot of speed way out there, and that turn comes up quick. So
It
yeah, he
does.
flat spotted tires and he lost anyway, but we were heading home. But he drives that thing everywhere.
Yeah.
So
That's a long moving home.
he
Flat
did
tires.
have his street set up with him, which is
Okay.
great. But whatever. But yeah, that was cool. And then I mean, doing that with a blower car.
Yeah, it's hard. It's tricky to control that.
Right, that's a different thing. I mean, for the again the folks that are out there, you typically, I mean, a turbo car is the way on that because
Right.
you can throttle it so easily.
Right.
A blower car makes I mean, really, whatever pulley you put on is what power it makes. I mean, you can
Right.
change the timing a
Yeah.
little bit,
Otherwise,
but
it's like a light switch. It's on or
right,
off.
right, but the pump's going to make the pump whatever the pump's going to make. Like you can't reach in and change this pulley while it's running and bring out all your digits. Like it'll, that's not how it works.
Right.
So, talk about that. Like, what was the learning curve like? And I assume back then it's still, barrel valve, K valve, mechanical pump kind of stuff. Like, what's the learning curve with that coming from, I got an
Mechanical.
820 car. What talk about
Well,
that?
switching over from the mechanical stuff to EFI was actually easier than I thought for me anyway, because Jordan is, he's pretty smart when it comes to tuning, and
Yeah.
he had got this stuff figured out, and we've have pretty good handle on everything. We haven't really tore up anything based on tuning. We've tore up a lot of stuff based on mechanical failures and that screws up the tune, like breaking the, shearing the keyways off on the balancer and it retards the timing, and you have no idea that it's done that until it's already destroying stuff.
Right. Right.
Come back to the pits with your fender on fire because it's burning all the fuel out the pipe and instead of in the motor, stuff like that. But
Yeah.
knock on wood, we've had good luck with, we've had a hell of a time figuring out how to turn things up because, there's really not a whole lot of people out there doing what we're doing with the Roots blower, trying to street drive it and that sort of thing. And there's nobody that tells, they always talk about percentage of overdrive, but they never talk about blower RPM speed.
Right.
So that was kind of a learning experience for me. And it's taken several years to figure all that out.
And you totally switched the blower, injector, the whole mess is different, right, for the street?
Yes. Yeah, we switch blowers from track to track, and people usually think, "Oh my God, that's a lot of work," but that's literally the easiest thing. If that's all I had to do, it'd be so nice.
Oh yeah, and I mean, you think about it, there's 8 bolts that hold the blower on, right? 8 or 10. It's not that big of a deal, and they're on studs already. They have to be, and you just
literally 10 minutes. The hardest part is just it's heavy and awkward,
Right, and they make like A-frames that you can do wacky stuff, but you got a nice good back with
I take the light end.
Yeah, exactly. So you put Lundstedt on it, and
that's right.
Exactly. that fancy, nice back of his.
That's right.
Hell
He
yes.
doesn't use it. He doesn't use it anyway. So
No, hell no, not at all. So you get out of out of the no prep scene. You put the thing on EFI and you decide to drag and drive it. I mean, I don't think you made it past the first day in 2015, right?
or 16.
Or 16.
But
What
our first year was a big struggle because I didn't realize how underestimated I was on what like electrical power I had. Like my battery cables were not even close to big enough.
right?
Our charging system, you cannot do this on a 75 amp alternator. Like, but I hadn't had it done long enough to realize that.
Right.
So we had zero testing before we went. It ran, it did all of its things, but we didn't have any drive time on it. And
Right.
so we figured out real quick that we didn't have enough amperage to be able to do what we're trying to do. So after that first one, we upgraded all that stuff, got all that taken care of. It's constant upgrade, figuring out what you don't have enough of.
Right. And you're still figuring that out.
Yeah.
It's just, it's a constantly recurring, it's a snowball, and especially at your level, you can't just walk into a parts store typically and get anything but maybe spark plugs for your stuff. It's
right.
It's a whole different deal. Like we figured out at Bonneville with Alex Taylor, she had the Pro Charger on her car. Man, somehow the extra belts didn't get packed. Well, you're in the middle of Bonneville, Utah,
right,
and you're looking for a freaking 8mm blower belt. You may as well ask people for yellow, purple banana mushroom.
Yep.
They're like,
what? Yeah, everything we run is no one's going to have the same belt size we have.
Right. So man, if you ain't got nothing, you're done.
Yeah.
And that's got to be such a different thing for. I'm so used to my stuff's. You can buy parts at 7-Eleven.
Right.
Talk about your trailer, because I know you pack that thing good and you pack it tight as hell. What all do you put in that thing? Because you've got a pretty exotic combo.
Well, we got to have room for a spare blower and hat. So you got that. You got to haul. We finally quit trying to do drag and drives on slicks because it always rains on us, and that thing will get stuck in the water box if they put too much water. Like that thing floats horribly.
Yeah, those big tires.
I've never driven anything that is so bad in the water. Right there's a good experience right there. Like you get a little water under them tires, and it is amazing what it will not do.
Yeah, it's because it spreads out all the weight. It's like weight per inch is so little that it just floats on top of anything that's on the surface.
Right.
And unless it's absolutely perfect, like drag strip, slick, it's they become a handful really, really fast. I had a big tire Firebird.
Yeah.
There was dew on the road, and I was trying to drive it around the block and nearly wrecked it going 5 miles an hour.
Yeah.
It's
put a
wild.
blower surge on top of that you can't control. You're just trying. You're trying to tame it, but you're just along.
It does a burnout every second, no matter if you want it to or not. It just does. Yep. Mine, luckily, I caught on fire with the blower in it, so I never actually ran it with the blower on it. I sold all that shit, bought an alcohol carburetor, and bracket raced it. It was fine. It's no big deal. And you mentioned Kevin Guthrie and Jay Steinbach, right?
Yep.
Is his name. Those are like OG and Matt Frost, of course. OG, they call them Colorado Bad Outlaws. They were in the early 2000s. Like these dudes in my world were like larger than life.
Guys,
They were the dudes. There were half a dozen of them, I think, eight or 10 maybe.
Yep.
But Jay had like a beautiful first gen Camaro.
Yeah.
And these were all blown alcohol door slammers. And, Lanier Henry had his 55, rest in peace, Lanier. That they were like the OG outlaw. Like these dudes were putting, blown alcohol motors in like a stock chassis Nova with a 9-inch slick and trying to drive them on Wednesday night testing tunes at Vandermeer.
Sure.
Idiots, absolute idiots. But very pivotal, honestly, dudes in my sort of world, because these were dudes typically had all pro street type cars like yours, big tires, big blowers,
Yep.
loud, larger than life kind of dudes. And the slowest one of those guys was running like 850.
Right.
So it was, for me, like with a 11-second bracket car, like I was like, those dudes are absolutely gangster. And then,
Yeah.
yeah.
That was a
So
big jump
anyway,
for me. I mean, I went from a 1260, 1250 car, bracket type car, street driving, cruiser car to 840s, 820s.
right, right.
That's a big
That's
jump for me.
that's a thing. Here's a great question that just came in off the chat. Does the fun go away a bit as you get faster and more serious? Does it
Oh yeah,
become
absolutely.
a job?
Yeah, oh yeah. Well, a blower car on a drag and drive is a job. So just know that going in. Like it
Right.
is literally probably the hardest way to do a drag and drive.
Oh, 100%.
So
100%. Because, I mean,
depend the
it's
best thing you can do
always
is
doing its thing. It's making heat. You're trying to drive this bull
yeah,
crap down the road, and, a Roots blower just,
it's a heat box.
it chops the air. It's a heat box. Exactly. It just trying to street drive that thing. And then on top of that, um, the injector on these things. So you look at the just square footage, and I know your street one's different, but it's still big, and you've got the
Yep.
cone that you put on it. But if you barely crack that throttle, it's like 1200 CFM now.
Yep. Yeah, oh yeah.
Um,
Like your burnout
it's
is just crack throttle.
right, and so trying to street drive that where it's 4500 total CFM
Yeah,
and
we drive on
10%
like
of your
usually
throttle.
like 1% of the throttle is what we tune within.
Right,
Like 2% is like really getting after it on the street. Like
right, right. It's like
so
it's
your tuning
making
window is super small.
yeah
And the
2%.
butterfly's
It's
open.
making 700 fucking horsepower.
Yeah, the butterfly's open before the throttle position sensor even sees that. Like
Right.
that's how tiny it
Yeah.
moves.
So I mean, street driving something like that, and I just know this because even 102 millimeter throttle body is hard for me to tune, and that's 1300 CFM on like its best day, and
Sure.
that's what yours does at 10%.
Yep.
It's pretty freaking wild when you start looking at street driving something like that, because it's just it's so responsive to your foot,
Sure.
yeah, it's hard. There ain't no shit. Like you're working your ass off trying
Well,
to do this stuff.
I guess the answer to that question is how much work are you willing to put in to still have fun?
Mhm.
So I feel like I work hard all the time. So I don't mind putting in the amount of work that it takes to make that car do what we do with it, because I know that the people that watch the car, that's what they're there for.
Oh
They
yeah,
want,
for
they
sure.
want to see that car. They enjoy that car more than I do. So I'm willing to put that work in.
That's awesome, dude. Because I like there's just something about your car. Like anytime your car starts, and at Yellowstone over
It
the
don't matter where it's
weekend,
at. They know when it's running. Like
you
like
know that's Royce's car,
and it's not on
and
purpose. It's just that's how it is. You know what I mean?
right. It just
I
and
try to make
it's
the car breathe, and so
right,
unfortunately, it's hard to quiet down 5-inch bullhorns. You
right.
don't.
Yeah, and with a blower, I mean, it's not like a turbo. There's nothing in there chopping that exhaust up. In fact, it's ramming
Sure.
more air in the engine that has to make its way out the exhaust. And the way that a blower cam works is you want it all going out the exhaust. You don't want it to be tumbling around in the cylinder. You want as much fresh new in the cylinder as possible. So typically when the exhaust valve is opening, it's still actually on fire, and so it's loud. It's just that's part of that's part of the fun,
Yep.
and the blower surge and everything. And for me as an announcer, like, man, here comes Royce with the Nightmare Mustang, and I just love it because it's one of those if you know you know kind of things. And
Sure.
I've got a picture somewhere of your car on a starting line somewhere, and everyone has their ears covered. I think it's this one. Yeah, the
Yeah.
guy in the background over here is
Yeah, that's when we used to run through the mufflers. Even
right,
remember
exactly. So
back when that thing blew up on the last day of race week.
yeah, you're right. I had just won my class, I think, or something.
Yep.
I'm not sure exactly what happened, but I made my pass, and I was like, "Dude, you just went like whatever. I can't remember what it was, 749
Right.
or something like that. And you're like, that's super awesome. Can you go tell my crew that I blew the crank out of it? Like, okay.
Yeah, that was a bad year. We didn't know that the fuel was getting contaminated. Each track that we went to, I had a one-way valve on the fuel line, which I assumed was doing its job. But hindsight, looking back at it now, the next year I discovered that that was not working out in my favor. It was actually diluting my alcohol tank with gasoline every pass. So the burnout should have been a tip off when it looked like looked like I had a diesel in it when
Right.
all that raw fuel come dumping out of there on a burnout. So yeah, kick the
That's
crank out of that
happened.
thing. And
That happened to Mark Cicino too. Same deal.
really,
Except he ran race gas and pump
okay,
gas.
that would have been a better
And
chance.
right, but he still got to a point where the pump gas diluted the race gas enough that
Yeah,
it was all over.
yep,
Um,
it'll destroy things.
yeah, exactly. I'm kind
I
of the
think the
same
only thing that
way. Vintage vehicle adventures. I love the events and love the fast cars. I I can't. I'm not that guy. I just can't afford it. But I appreciate dudes like Royce who build cars and then they suck all of his money into it, and so now he can't afford it, but he also can't afford to like get rid of it. So you may
sure,
as well just race it. So let's
gotta do
go.
something with it.
Yeah,
Nobody else is
exactly.
gonna want
You're a member of the club that I'm in, and that's when you have a $50,000, $10,000 car.
it. Yep,
Like I have this much money in my car, and it's worth a tenth of that, or
maybe.
whatever, a fifth of that. So I I'm gonna keep it forever. Whatever, just bury me in that shit. It'll never come to even. Which again, like freaking who's the dude that runs Yellowstone? Crap, CW
Oh,
said,
CW, yeah.
yeah, the easiest way to make $1 million drag racing is to start with 10
Start out
grand
with a couple. Yep.
because you're just going to burn it. No one's making money doing this, but
No.
it's all about smiles per gallon. And I mean, the Nightmare Mustang fits. That fits, man.
That's that
It's
motto.
fun. It's awesome. It's loud. It's amazing. My future mother-in-law loves it as well. I mean, like, yeah, Lude Lee loves that car, which is great. But yeah, man, the Nightmare Mustang is
A
definitely
lot
the
of fun.
way.
I hope the I hope that we can keep doing what we're doing with it and everything works out.
Yeah, for sure. What is Janae Hammond wanted to know? Will you be going to Douglas the next race?
That's the plan. Is that on? I don't know when that is. Is that the 15th?
I don't know. Let me look. I'll
I
look while
think it
we're
is.
while we're talking. What's your plans for the Nightmare? Is are you happy with it? Kind of where it's sort of 730s range? Are you going to try to make it faster? Are you going to try to make it better for no prep? Where's its
I
kind of
think
home going to end up?
its limits are pretty much where they're at. I don't think it can really do a whole hell of a lot more. I mean, there's a little stuff here and there that we can do with it, but how far do you want to go? You know what I mean? Like you
I
can
mean,
really
right.
waste a lot of money on it and go and try to get a couple more tenths of a second out of it, but it really just needs to be start over and rechassied and so I think for right now I'm gonna probably put it away for a couple years.
Okay.
Plan on using it on just certain events. Not probably not going to drag and drive it next year. We'll see. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
Trying to get the new car done to where we can start testing it. I was hoping to have that done this last spring. Some other crap as usual, life gets in the way, and we haven't had a chance
It's
to get there. But now we're
right.
starting to make
I
some
mean,
headway with it again. So I think we'll just keep marching with that, and it's going to take some time to get figured out. So
so the 14th is the
14.
next Douglas race. If you guys haven't checked out Douglas, they're also awesome. That's where I got my start announcing, to be honest with you. My first ET Finals team was with Douglas Motorsports Park with my big tire Firebird, and yeah, Dick Anderson, who was running the place when I kind of started racing there, his wife got sick, and he said, "I can't announce. Would you mind coming up and helping me out?" And I announced for a season. I had no idea what I was doing. I
Yeah.
emulated.
I remember when you were announcing back then.
Yeah, I emulated Bruce Kamada. That I grew up listening to that dude announce at Vandermeer, and I was like, well, I'll just do what that dude does because he had a job for 25 years doing that. So
Right.
whatever. So yeah, I just announced like Bruce Kamada, and I announced for an entire year up at Douglas. We had an HRA Open. I got to announce with Bob Fry at that, which was super cool. He was working for ESPN at the time. Yeah, dude, Douglas was awesome, and it was a big kind of. I didn't announce again until 2020. I had an 8-year break until Race Week started 2.0, and it ended up with a live stream. And well, we needed an announcer, and my freaking car's broken. So that's how I started at Douglas too. My freaking car was broken. In fact, it was the Malibu both times. The first time I didn't know how to tune it because a fuel injection idiot started with carburetors. I'm an Unga Bunga guy. I'm older than I look. So yeah, through a EFI system in that car, and I mean I think I probably hydro locked it 3 times. Yeah, no idea what I'm doing. I'm an idiot. I always say that my car runs to spite me because it has Hall EFI on it, and it fixes my bullshit. Like I screw it up, and it fixes me. Like it's good enough to do that. So thanks to Hall EFI for almost making it Unga Bunga. What they should do, in my opinion, is have a picture of a carburetor and say, what do you want your carburetor to, what do you want your car to do more? And I want to point to like the squirters, like fix my squirters. Can I change the squirter size from a 32 to a 28 and make you do that? So if somebody from Holly EFI is out there listening, make it Unga Bunga proof. Make me click on jets and change 4 jet sizes. Like just do that. And
like a video game.
Right, exactly. I'll be fine. I can make that happen. But so you think you're gonna throw the Nightmare into mothballs? So
Yep, for a little while.
You must be working on something else.
We've been trying to put together a car that we can enjoy a little bit more and still have kind of a dual purpose car.
So. Okay, all right. So that's this one.
Yep.
So you're going to be in the first gen Mafia.
Yep.
What's the plan? What's the plan for the Camaro?
So the car is getting a lot of leftover parts from the Mustang, and it's actually going to be a turbo car instead of a blower car this time. So
try out, see how that life is.
Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be pretty rough for me to switch over to that. As much shit as I've talked about turbo guys, but
well, yeah, and Krusty Ramsey can call you a you know.
Whatever. Yeah, so we're gonna try that. I bought the car from Matt, and it needed.
Oh, is that Matt's car?
Yeah, that was the Camaro that he'd been kind of teasing people with every now and then for sale.
Yeah,
and
cool.
Finally, I just said we were actually trying to find a Mustang. It's like a 67 or 8 Mustang coupe that we were gonna do, and then just never could quite land the right deal. I can't afford to buy one done. Of course, I have to buy a project, so we put a ton of time in.
Right.
So we got that car. Yep. And so we got that car and cut it all up and kind of making it fit what we want to do with it instead of trying to build a car to do drag and drive instead of taking a race car and converting it.
Right. Which is fully that's what the Nightmare Mustang is.
That's what it is.
That's a race car that you throw your big, gigantic brass balls into a, container in the back seat and you put on the street.
Like to street drive it. Like the Montana race was a lot of fun because it was cold the whole time. Right. And so Jordan and I did the whole event in t-shirt and shorts while everybody else is, putting fire suits and hoodies and everything on. Like, that thing makes heat like crazy. So to do that car in like 100 or even 90 degree plus air is miserable. Like just the heat itself will wear you out.
Shoot, so, I realized that we didn't even get into the specifics on the Nightmare. Let's back up. I'm sorry. Don't even
Oh no, that's fine. I mean, that's
erase
kind of where I was
this.
going with that car because my car is so miserable. But yeah,
Oh,
that's
right.
so. Yeah, I mean, there was a time I think 1320 did a deal where they shot the inside of the car with one of the Raytech temp guns, and the car had been sitting there for probably a half hour, and they checked the temp inside the car, and it was still 180 degrees inside the car, like the roll cage and everything. Like you can't touch it with your legs because it heat soaks after 4 or 5 hours of driving. Of course that Carney drive is what 12 hours for us.
Right. I mean,
So
minimum.
yeah,
It's 12 hours with like no problems. If you can do
right,
it all the way through just with gas stops and just
yeah,
throwing a little bit of food down your gullet, like not even stopping
yeah.
to eat kind of thing,
When
it's
you're
12
that hot,
hours.
yeah, you're that hot, you don't even feel like eating. So
Right.
nothing
Right.
even sounds good when you're that hot. And
Oh yeah.
we would stop at a gas station, top off the tank, and grab 2 bags of ice, and him, Jason or Jordan would hold on to one, and I'd hold on to the other. You just put the ice in
Just
your lap.
yep. Hell yeah. Like that'll
That's the
keep
only
you
way you can.
alive. Like that. And that's no in
Yeah.
that world, that's kind of no joke. Like you have to do that. But backing up just half a step, what is talk about the combo in the Nightmare, and then we'll compare and contrast the combo with the new car.
So the Mustang's I don't know what part to start with. I guess it's a 600-inch blown injected alcohol motor with a 3-speed Lenco with a Bruno drive, converter drive. So, and it's obviously 9-inch rear end with 389 gears in it. 33 tall tire. I mean, that's the combo.
Three
So
three
which
eighty
is
nine is pretty spicy for 180 mile an hour. What sort of RPM does that thing run?
about 80. I think we got the chip at 8,200. So we
That is
typically shipped it
awesome.
around 78. Because
Still,
it's
7,800 for 600 inches. It's got to be 4.5 stroke, right? Or four? Is it a
yeah,
four and a
that's
quarter?
4.5. Yep,
Yeah. So it's. I mean, there's a lot of stuff
just a lot of
turning
slinging.
around in there.
Yeah, it's got GRP rods in it, Molly pistons, um, Crower crank, Crower valve train. So it's
So
been a great setup.
and GRP, they're alloy, they're aluminum rods.
Yep, yep, the
Yeah,
aluminum rods.
yeah. Which you kind of need on this sort of deal. As much power as you're making if you don't like the blower combo, especially if you detonate it, it's a little bit of a shock absorber, and it'll
Sure,
keep the bearings in it. Um,
that's all I've
whereas
ever ran is aluminum rods. So
yeah, a steel rod will push all that force directly onto the bearings, and it'll flatten them, and it'll end up spinning the bearings because it makes so much cylinder pressure.
yeah,
You just can't, whatever. But uh, but they've proven themselves, especially like GRP, top name guys
sure.
with a bunch of these high end cars are making drag and drives, no problem. So yeah, it's that used to be such a faux pas on the street was an aluminum rod motor because top alcohol guys are like we run those for 20 passes and throw them in the trash.
Right,
So driving 1,000 miles on a set was unheard of in
right.
2000.
Never used to
But
do it.
yeah, but
Yeah,
they've kind of come.
I'll tell you, doing drag and drive events with this car has turned it into so much better race car. Like
Right.
everything is like things I would worry about just making quarter-mile passes, and now we're driving 1,000, 1,200 miles, 1,300 miles.
Right. Yeah, with
It seems like
400 in
everything
a
gets
day.
yeah it gets in its happy place, and it doesn't. My dumb ass didn't put valve springs in it this year, which I should have, and I learned a lesson. But that says quite a bit. When last time I put springs in, I had gotten Crower springs back in 2021 during COVID when you couldn't get springs,
Right.
and they're just now. It's 2024, and we got to put springs in it on a
And
car
I
that drives.
know you owe it. We'll get to your new car back, in a second, but I know you owe a lot of your success to Crowd.
Crower
Those
has helped us
dudes,
a bunch,
yeah,
kind of
because
keep us
you
in line
what
with what we need to be doing.
once you got Crower on board, you started finishing events, and
Yep.
as you know, like until you finish an event, you can't win an event.
Yep.
And I mean, getting the thing to live for the 1,000 miles, 1,200 miles, 1,400 miles, 400 miles in a day is everything. and until it lives, you're no one. I mean, you can
Right.
DNF 100 of these, and
Yep.
no one will know your name.
Yep.
But the second you finish one, especially in a blower car, wait a
Yeah.
second, who in the hell is that guy? And
Exactly.
what's he doing that's different? And I know for a fact, and talk to us a little bit about it, that when Crowder came aboard, that was when your luck changed.
Yep. And we got better with, doing drag and drive stuff. If you have enough sensors on your car to monitor, I watch my gauges more than I watch the road.
Same.
You just, when you stop and think about, like, did I miss a turn? I don't even know, because I'm watching my damn gauges so much.
Right.
Just
I'm
just
always
checking
like,
things.
what was that noise?
Yep.
Did you hear
You
that?
think you
What was
heard
that
something.
noise? Did you hear that? What was that noise?
Exactly. So,
Yeah.
changing different oils and stuff, I've discovered that, we finally found one that we like, and that's been a game changer as well. So,
Yeah,
like,
and
super good.
I think LAT,
Yep.
right, helps you out with that.
Yep.
And same deal in that level of stuff. That makes a difference.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
a lot of guys have had really good luck with those higher end oils, especially in
Yep.
max effort.
And it's not the only one that's top of the line. There's some other ones out there too that
Totally.
you'd be afraid
Schaefer's
of.
does a great oil.
Yep.
I know the what's the other one? I can't remember right now.
HBL.
HPL, that's the one. Yep.
Yep.
Yep. They do a good oil. So, I mean, it doesn't matter which one you choose, but choose a good
Yep.
oil, especially on a high end build. I mean, you
Yes.
have to talk to your engine guy, especially kind of with a blower car, the heats that thing runs.
Yeah.
Your oil's got to stay alive. Otherwise,
Yep.
you're going to burn your shit down and you're going to be on the side of the road.
Yep. Absolutely.
So, but so it's a 600-inch motor. It's got a 3-speed lenco, you said?
3-speed lenco with the Bruno drive. Been pretty happy with that.
Hell yeah.
You would think the torque converter would be way too loose to drive on the street, but it seems to work good on both,
And these, again, same deal. Like, just kind of breaking it down for folks that don't know, the Lenco's it's a planetary type transmission. Typically, they have levers. I think yours is air
Mine
shifted.
does. Mine's
Yours has levers.
levers.
Nice, attaboy.
Yep.
Now we just need to get a clutch in it. We'll talk about that later. But it's planetary. So you pull a lever and it pushes a pin down and activates a drum and changes to another gear ratio.
Yep.
It's basically like it's like the drum that they have in like a Turbo 400, just in its own little case.
Sure.
And just changes gear ratios with that. So you can keep it pinned to the floor. And yes, typically those, when they first came out, had clutches attached to them. So the Bruno drive adds a torque converter on the front, and it has a little bitty pan, right?
Yep.
And a trans brake, and that's pretty much it. Like it's got like a little pump, and
yep.
And that's kind of it, right? But it works like an automatic at the launch because it has a torque converter, and then you yank the gears and do your thing.
Yep. And
so
then we got a gear vendor in the back of that.
Oh, you do? Nice. Hell yeah.
And
so how long is your transmission?
It's about 5 feet long.
So Lencos are long. What's cool with a Lenco, if you want more gears, you just bolt another one on the back. And they just get longer. They're relatively like narrow.
Yeah.
But they're long as hell. Like, so yours is a 3-speed plus a gear vendor on the back.
Right.
So
a gear vendor adds about 18 inches to it.
Right. So it's 5 feet long and that's the Bruno all the way to the back of the gear vendor.
Yeah.
So and that's
makes
only
my
a
drive
3-speed.
shaft like, what's that?
That's only a 3-speed. Like I've seen 5-speed Lencos in cars.
Well, no matter how many sections you add to it, it still ends up 1-to-1 at the end. So you can't just add a section to have overdrive. It's just you've just cut,
Yeah, you would need to install it backward or something, and it just it just ain't gonna work. So you gotta add the gear vendor to get any kind of overdrive, and I think those are 7.3 or something like that. So
I don't know.
With a 33-inch tire or whatever, with that 389, I'm sure it just goes down the road just fine.
And that was really a game changer having a gear vendor on it, because we picked up I don't know, 15, 20 mile an hour on cruise speed, but we
Oh
dropped
yeah,
15. I think we dropped 15 to 20 degrees in temperature just because of how much more air we could move across it at
hell
cruise.
yeah. Well, and there's so many advantages. I mean, valve train isn't running as fast, and the
Exactly.
oil's not getting whipped up as fast, and your blower's not turning as fast, and there's so much that helps with an overdrive. I've got two,
Yeah.
and my sixth is .5. Just
Right.
stick with me. I'll show you some stuff about
Right.
street car shit. I actually just put a 456 in my car because I was like, well, why not? I mean, in sixth, it's 225.
Right.
So I don't care. I can put
Imagine
whatever
doing a
gear I
drag and
want.
drive in something you can only do like 55, 60 mile an hour. And
And
you
and
had to do all those miles at that speed. You know how
there's a
long that takes?
lot of dudes that do that. There's a
I
ton of dudes
know.
that do that.
That is
And
miserable. I've done it and it sucks so bad.
oh yeah, and like
Like,
a bunch of dudes, especially I've noticed it a lot more in Florida with sick week,
yeah,
because they don't have real long drives, so
right.
you can tolerate it a little bit better, and
Yeah,
it's
you can
cooler
tolerate
and
it.
stuff like that.
I
But
did
there's a
first couple of
ton.
years first couple of years without it overdriving. I'll tell you, having it, I don't think I would change it.
Oh, dude, there's a ton of dudes that run, like 1-to-1 get, whatever, a
Yeah,
Muncie or something with like a
right.
456 gear and like a 28-inch tire,
For
and you'll
six, yeah.
pass them on the highway, and when it's like 4,500 RPM, you can hear the motor like coming apart as you're
Yep.
passing them, and they're just and they're typically old dudes, and they've got their hearing protection on because they
Yep.
took their drag car and they put it on the street, and they're gonna learn. They'll learn
Right.
today.
A lot of
Pat
guys,
Cook says that 60-mile-an-hour life sucks, but Pat Cook does it because he has a Grom, because he's an idiot.
yeah, it's tough doing that. And so we built my pickup, and first year we did it, we had a fresh C6 tranny in it, but she was having trouble keeping up with us. So the next year I yanked that out. And we put an overdrive tranny in it just so
Hell
she can
yeah.
keep up with us, because having one that can't keep up, that's a tough game too.
Right, right. If your buddies can cruise 80 and you can only go 50,
That's a problem.
you're getting left in the dust, pal, all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Right. So new car. Um,
Yeah.
Turbo car. What sort of power plant? What kind of are you going to put AC in it?
Yeah, we got an electric AC pump for it, so we don't have to run it on the motor.
Hell yeah.
I haven't messed with this. I don't know anybody that's had anything like this yet to ask any questions. So we're going to be kind of the guinea pigs, I guess, if you will, on how this actually works. It's going to be a split radiator deal.
Cool.
So, 520 inches. It's a leftover. It's an old block that I had for my car that we're putting in it. And then I got a 2-speed glide to put in it, M&M glide, that we actually won a gear vendor at Sick Week. The last time we were at Sick Week, Shalise won on a raffle.
Badass.
And so we got a gear vendor to put on the back of the that glide. So
That shorty glide with gear vendor attachment is the most gangster setup that exists in the
I
whole
think it's
world.
gonna work great.
It's so short. Yeah, typically a gear vendor adds a lot of length to an automatic transmission, and I'm gonna pull up a picture of it and show you guys, because if you haven't seen the shorty glide with the gear vendor, dude, it's like the stuff of dreams. It's not much longer than a normal transmission. It's wild.
Right.
It's
Yeah, because
wild.
you take the tail shaft housing off and you put that in its place.
Right. Here, I'll share my screen. I'm working in the background as we go here, so bear with me 2 seconds. There it is. And there it is. So that's it there. I think if you put a tape measure on this, it would maybe only be 6 or 8 inches longer than a normal power glide. They're absolutely gangster. This is the best setup out there. If you're looking at doing automatic stuff, power glide is cheap. It's light. It takes like 70% less horsepower to turn than big transmissions. Like, they're awesome. and then you add a gear vendor on the back, and they're sweet. So yeah, they're very very cool with that short. The Shorty Glide's built for a dragster. It just has the output shaft just hanging out of the back, and then that gear vendor just bolts right on the end of it. They're absolutely cool. So check those out if you're brand new to drag and drive type stuff. The 400 is a thing too. You can do that, but it doesn't have that super short availability as the Glide one does. So
right.
Yeah,
I went with a Glide because my wife's gonna be driving the car. Also, we're kind of building it for her, and so I want her to be able to drive the car with not having a lot to do inside the car. Just drive the car.
Right. And if you know, one gear change and
one gear change, it's done, and she can drive the car, and it's turboed, so hopefully we can just dump the boost and tame the car down enough to where she can enjoy doing, racing the car at her comfort level. I don't want to shove her in something that she don't need to be in.
I'm not sure who H Pickett 33 is, but she wants to know if the new car has a name yet.
Yeah, we've been kicking some names around.
I heard one at Julesburg once. Is that the same name that it's going to stay as?
Well, I don't know yet. She's not real hip on the name. It's funny. It'd be funny to hear you saying it on the intercom, but since it's all the leftover car parts for my car, we've been naming it Sloppy Seconds.
Right. So, right. Which and I was like, is that the best name for a car for your wife?
Probably not. But it is funny.
At the same time, it is. I mean, it is funny. So, I like it. I whatever. But so it'll be twins, big block, power wide. Oh, single.
Yeah. Single, yeah.
Okay. All
single
right.
118 precision. Lance Knigge helped me out with.
Nice.
So it's off of his Mustang that he used to have.
Hell yeah.
And then we've got some cool stuff. I bought one of those the electric clutches for the fuel pump, so we can turn, it runs the AC pump or it's like an AC pump. You can turn the mechanical pump on and off with.
Okay, so it'll have like
a lot with this car without opening the hood,
like a belt drive type. Fuel pump. So this thing should be. I mean, it sounds like it's going to be pretty serious. Like, what's your goals for ETs with this thing?
That's tough to say because I have no idea. I mean, it's first time messing with a turbo, first time messing around with small tires. I mean, and it's a ladder bar car because it's going to be a full interior car.
That's
I want to keep a back seat. I'd like to see it in the 7s with me driving it, and I'd like to see it high 10s, mid 10s with her driving it until she's comfortable.
Okay, So you're doing the Vince Rui plan. Put it on wastegate, and she runs it in 12.0. Put the CO2 on it, and it goes 10.
Whatever we can get it to turn down to,
But you'll just be a step. Higher
just
than that.
Load a tune and hopefully be able to turn it up. I'm hoping that I don't have to change over a lot of stuff like I do with the blower car because that's a ton of work, and I don't want to have to. I'd like to just change spark plugs and go on about the day.
Right. So in that like sense, are you going to air-to-air intercool it?
No, I'm not going to intercool it at all.
Oh, methanol.
Yep.
Attaboy. Okay.
Yeah. So
awesome.
Hopefully that works.
You're a methanol guy. Like you currently run it. It's you know how to tune it. I mean, why change a good thing? You already
got tuning window. Yeah, your tuning window is so much bigger, and the fuel is so much cheaper. Like I don't know. I mean, I hope that I don't have to switch over to having to run C16 or something like that. That it's just ridiculous in fuel cost to go have fun. I like to be able to go buy a barrel at $200 or $250, whatever it is right now, and go play for the summer. A barrel will usually get me most of the year, depending on how much we play. But
yeah, that's not. I mean, and when you're talking, C16 is $12 a gallon, $12.50 a gallon
at least.
Right. It's
110 is that now.
Yeah, exactly. It's probably more than that. I'm a slow guy, so I'm a 91 no ethanol or E30. I'm an E30.
Yeah,
E30. Because I don't need it anymore. But methanol is great. It's cheap. You use a ton of it. and you got to have a big ass
Sure.
fuel system to run it. But I mean, all relative, I mean, whatever, who cares?
Right. So that's
And you can
my
make
hopes
an
with the
ass
car. I
ton
don't
of
know.
power with
I don't
nothing.
know how it's going to drive down the highway without an intercooler. I'm hoping that that's going to be fine, but
A ton of people do it. I don't.
everybody's got different ways of doing it, and I'm putting my plan is to put the turbo down low like a Pro Charger would be on the front balance. So I'll probably catch a lot of bugs and shit in the turbo, but it should grab the cooler air, whereas a lot of turbo cars are pulling engine bay heat
Right.
or intake air. So I don't know. It's kind of we'll find out when we get there type thing.
Find out when you get there. Exactly.
Figure it out when it happens.
How far out is sloppy seconds?
I don't know. I'd really like to have it close to running November, December, but we still got a ton of wiring to do. Jason Pickett's going to help me try to get that lined out. That part's going to take a while, but we just got the rods for the car on Friday. So Jeff at US Machine's going to get that all balanced for me.
Nice.
And I'd like to get the motor assembled so we can get the motor together and put the tranny on it, the gear vendor, and slide it in so I can get a drive shaft length and start building around it from there, because everything else has already been mocked up in the car, but I didn't build any turbo stuff because I wanted to try to get the car painted and start moving forward. So car's painted now.
Nice.
They just finished the vinyl top on it this weekend. So hopefully we can start putting interior together along with all the engine bay and all that stuff.
Hell yeah. And the cage is in it. It got certed. It's
Yep.
set. That stuff's all ready to go.
Yep, I got that sorted last year. I wanted to make sure before I painted it,
Right.
in case I had to change something, because doing the cage like we did in a unibody car, there's a lot of gray areas that really there's no black and white to how you're supposed to do it.
Right.
There's a lot of ifs, ands, and buts, but it just seems like there's so much gray area in how that can be done, and so it passed, no problem.
Nice. Perfect.
So yeah,
Perfect.
I wanted to be safe, but I don't want to have to overbuild it.
Right. Right.
I already have a car that's too heavy, so I didn't want to have two cars that are too heavy.
Yeah. What is the Nightmare car weigh?
It's about 3,600 pounds with me in it. So
Yeah. That's street cars are
it's
heavy.
yeah.
They just are.
Oh,
Like once you add all the
heavy.
stuff.
Yep. With the cooling systems and the charging, and I don't know, it adds up quick.
Well, and the blowers, the blower and injector is what, like 200 pounds, probably, like right on the top.
Right, and then you got the iron block, which nobody really recommends doing what we're doing with an aluminum block. I'm sure it can be done. Maybe guys are doing it, but I couldn't find a block place that say, yeah, use our block.
Right.
And then the lenco, the transmission setup, that they're heavy.
Yeah.
A lenco with a Bruno drive and stuff, that it's probably, I would say it might be 40 pounds more at least than a glide, or not a glide, but a turbo 400.
Right.
So
right. Yeah.
it would probably
it all just adds up.
But then it would take away from the car, so I leave it a lenco.
Yeah. And then like you were telling me one time the hood on the thing is like a crazy thick fiberglass hood that like takes you down every time you have to take it off.
Yeah,
so
it's not a light hood. Like I could save some weight in some places, put fiberglass fenders on it and stuff like that. But
this sounds more fun.
Yeah, I like steel cars because they stay. Being a body and paint guy, I hate fixing fiberglass stuff that always changes all the time. So
steel, it's always
steel stays the same all the time. So it doesn't bother me as much.
Absolutely. We mentioned earlier about the truck. Talk to us about the truck. So Shaylease has driven this at Race Week. I towed this around the Midwest for a 1,000 miles. Talk to us about the truck. This has got some like long history with you, right?
So that was that truck was used at my aunt and uncle's ranch. They called it the meat wagon. They would haul, the meat back from the slaughterhouse. Mm-hmm. I bought that truck from the ranch when I was 12, and then built it for my first vehicle, for when I was 16. So back then the truck was teal and white. Had a 390 in it with a C6 trans, and put a lot of street racing miles on it, cruising miles. Just high school kids.
Anything you own from 13
Yep.
to current,
just wore it out.
Yeah, has been through some shit. I mean,
Yep.
16-year-old me, I bought my car that I built when I was 16, after it had been through my hands, and stuff that even I know that I built, I look back on now and I'm like, how did this car not burn down? It's wild. I drove this car like with the wiring that it had and the stupid fuel, whatever. Like that's all that stuff that you eventually get around to fix right. But yeah, car that you've had since you're 13, your entire history of automotive
Everything
is
everything you learned is there.
Is chronicled in that truck.
Yep. And so
that's sweet, dude.
I had to have Shalise bring me some parts. I don't know. I don't remember what year it was, but there was something that I needed. Broke down on the side of the road on Drag and Drive Race a Week, and I needed some parts. And so they brought me what I needed, and they ended up following us to the next track. Well, then they ended up following us to the next one, and and the more they followed, the more they got interested in doing it. And so hindsight, the next year we dug this out of the weeds from just sitting around not doing anything, and thought I'd freshen it up a little bit. Turned into taking the frame, taking the body off and redoing everything, change the color and kind of make it fresh and new again, put a new face on it. And then that's what she raced the first year, and she never raced anything really before. And she was nervous, first day, how fast she went in the quarter or whatever. And then by the end of the week, she was, nervous about going that fast. And by the end of the week, she couldn't figure out why she couldn't make it go faster.
Hell yeah.
I was like, well, we're at its limits. So then the following year, I took the supercharger off my jet boat, put it on the pickup, just a little Vortec, centrifugal supercharger deal. And we put that on there, and then put the Holley EFI stuff on there, and just a blow through sniper. And then she is maxed that out. Now she's like, well, how do we make it go faster? I'm like, you're at the limit. Like there is nothing left there. Like it's a 4,600 pound pickup.
Right.
We still drive this thing. I'm not going to, ruin it because
and then
it's just can't do no more with it. So that's why we need to go this route.
And enter this, that's, whatever, 3,300 pounds or whatever, probably.
Right.
Once it's done, and even street car with AC and everything. And, now it's 1,300 less pounds, and we make, 800 more horsepower.
Right. We have the ability to do what we want with it now and not have setbacks.
Right. And it's not pushing a barn door through the air and whatever.
Right.
But talk about the combo that's in the dent side.
So the truck's got it's an FE based motor. It's a 410 Merc, which is basically a 428 crank and rods in a 390 block, but it was out of a 67 Merc from the ranch as well. And so we put that in there, got the Vortex supercharger on it. It's got an AOD transmission, which everybody hates, but we've figured out a way to make it live. And so we've got that going for us. I found that tranny on Facebook Marketplace on an accident. I've never heard of anybody having an overdrive tranny for an FE deal, and somehow this guy had one. So,
nice. Hell yeah, dude.
He had burned it up because the typical line pressure issues that those things have. So we put a different valve body in it to fix those problems, and it's held together pretty great. I haven't had it out since. So
knock
Jason,
wood.
Go through that.
Yeah. Hell yeah. And
so we did break an axle in that thing.
Oh, cool. That's right.
Why
was I hauling it around? Was it the axle?
No. So we were starting to make enough power with the Ford, as you know, distributors in the front. So is the oil pump. And so the faster we got the truck, the more it was starving itself for oil, and it didn't even register. I didn't even realize it was doing it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so what was happening is we were starving it for oil, and we actually spun the rod bearings on it. And so that's when you got to haul it.
Perfect.
And then, so we've since then fixed that, put a rear sump pan on it, and I had to put a new set of rods in it because those other ones were trashed.
Right.
And turn the crank, all that stuff. So it's all fresh, and so far knock on wood, it hasn't had any issues. So it's been pretty reliable. I
Hell
keep
yeah.
breaking rocker arms like crazy in that thing, but as soon as I can find somebody that makes good rocker arms for it, I'll be all over that.
Yeah, hell yeah. I'll give you Lewis's number when we're done here.
Yeah, it's funny they don't do any FE stuff.
He'll do
But
something for you.
I think I was talking to him when he was out here this summer, and I think we're going to makeshift maybe even a Chrysler rocker arm or something that's got close to the same bore size, and we'll try to make something work.
I was going to say that might be perfect because I think they're kind of shaft mount stuff now, right?
Yes, just like
And
that. Yep.
a Chrysler's a shaft mount as well, so maybe something like that. I mean, who knows? Whatever.
Yeah.
FEs are wild, dude. I helped my buddy with a truck, a high boy Chevy that we call the Redneck Rally, and his dad put a 428 in it, and we didn't know how to verify that because every external marking on an FE says that it's a 352.
Yep.
It's the stupidest freaking thing on the planet. So we put a chopstick in the spark plug hole and measured the stroke, and we narrowed it down to a 410 or a 428 because the stroke's right.
Yep.
And then we checked the heads, and they're 390 heads. So I guess the standard thing is to make a poor man's Cobra jet is to put the small chamber 390 head on a 420, like a standard car 428.
Sure.
And it makes a higher compression 428. So I think that's what it's got. But screw Ford FE for not putting any external markings on that shit, because it could be a 351, 352, 360, 362, 390,
406,
406, 410, 407, 428. It could be 9 things. 9 things. Could you imagine ordering a camshaft for something that could be either a 351 or a 428? Right. Screw you, Ford FE. That's just me. I'm just saying. I'm done. I had a little outburst. I apologize. But that's stupid as hell. But they're stump pulling motors. They worked for a really long time. I mean, my buddy had a 360 in his F-250 growing up, and he hammered that thing mercilessly, and it never broke. It never broke. He had a 4-speed, top loader with a 360 and an F-250, and that thing never not was in valve float, and it ran for like 10 years while he just hammered dog shit out of that thing. It was great. It was an amazing motor. But screw you for not putting any external markings on whatever your motor is. And I'm done. We're an hour and 15 minutes in. Can you believe it?
No.
I told you this would go quick. And you were nervous. So you just have a couple more drinks. It's all good. I'm going to start asking some of my questions. If you've got questions to ask Royce, let's get those answered. Put them in the comments. We'll get those rolling. But I will start off with and this will be a good one for you because you are a thrash master. But what's the largest thrash that you have been a part of?
As far as like with our car,
yeah, with your stuff, yeah.
I would have to say, back when Race Week went to Missouri, we had to put lifters in it. And when we were putting the car together in the hotel parking lot, we were bumping the engine over to set the valves, and the radiator cap was off because we had the intake off, So we put water back in it, and we were starting to finish things up. And as we were bumping the motor over, a geyser of water flew out of the radiator cap, and Jordan was helping me crew at the time, and we both looked at each other like, oh, this is not good. Once you see that, you got head gaskets, and we were supposed to be driving to the track by now. And so we tore that motor all the way back down to the, pulled the heads, and had to send Shalise to the parts store. It was like, 60 miles away, to get a used set of head gaskets from some engine shop out there in Missouri, and brought them back to us. We put them on, and we barely made it, got it all back together, barely made it to the track with 20 minutes to spare before the lanes were closed. I literally unhooked the trailer, rolled in the lanes, and the car ran out of fuel in the lanes. but I was in the lane, so we were like locked in. So, they just had to run back, grab a 5-gallon of fuel, and dump in the car. And we did what we could with what we had, but we had no tune-ups for gasoline passes. So we were literally making pulls on the road while Jordan's over there laptop.
Yeah,
just
working the ivories.
Yep, and telling me, now do it again, and we finally got to where it would safely make a pull because we don't drive in those, in that window.
Yeah, exactly. You don't floor that thing on the road. You don't need to ever. Like you're trying to just keep it alive and drive it. Like that's your whole job.
So yeah, getting there and having that time frame, that was probably one of the biggest thrashes.
Hell yeah.
So,
what did it run on gas?
That track was an 8th mile, and I think it went. I don't remember what it went back then. I think it made I want to say it was like a 9-second quarter-mile pass.
Oh wow!
But, yeah, it wasn't nothing to write home about.
But still, like with just 91 in it, and your street blower's got the real big pulley on it and stuff, so it wasn't making a ton of boost and junk. I mean, that's actually pretty impressive for just doing a couple of pulls on the highway and showing up the racetrack. Like that's pretty awesome.
Making pulls on the highway, pulling a trailer.
Right, right.
Pretty crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Shoot, what's your trailer weigh?
That's a good question. I bet it weighs 2,500 pounds because we have a lot of stuff in there. We carry extra transmission parts with us. We carry extra tires for the rain. We carry, back then I was probably carrying, way more than I should have. We've lightened the load quite a bit, but it's still heavy.
Yeah. So, I mean, you have an already heavy car with a 2,500 pound freaking anchor tied to the back of it.
Right.
And you're trying to tune. Good on Jordan for not blowing that thing up right on the highway. I mean, to be honest, like with stuff you've never tried once before, ever.
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome. Good on Lundstedt performance, Jordan.
Right.
Jordan's an old school Douglas racer. He had a 4th gen Firebird with a Pro Charger on it. Before that was cool. Like in 2012, not very many people had stuff, and like that thing ran hard. It was a stick car. Yeah, it was pretty sweet. No, actually, you know what? He had an 80 in it. He had a 4L80 in that car.
Yeah.
And that was same deal. That was like a very early 4L80 car.
Right.
Yeah, he was doing cool LS stuff before LS stuff was cool.
Before it was cool.
Yeah, that dude's a hot rod LS hipster. And I'm here for it. So, tell me about the one that got away. What car did you sell you shouldn't have?
I don't think any of them got away. I don't sell anything. It doesn't seem like I can't seem to get rid of it.
That's a common theme on this show. Like a lot of people are idiots, and we just don't sell our junk. Like we have the same crap. And everything I've sold that I really regret selling, I pretty much bought back. Otherwise, I've just told myself that it wasn't worth having in the first place. So whatever. What's your favorite racetrack?
As far as facilities go, I mean, Bandimere was obviously a high point, but I really like the way Julesburg. I like that small track feel. I like that.
Yep.
I like tracks. I guess I like all the small tracks that really appreciate what you're doing. That really support what you're doing. So, like Douglas is the first track I ever went to with that car, and so I mean, I kind of have a thing for Douglas because that was where we started with everything, and so to be able to still race at that track after it's been closed officially, and now they're doing it again. That's pretty fun to be able to race there.
Yeah.
So I would say, it's a tough tie between Julesburg and Douglas for me, just because of the history.
And I agree with Douglas. Douglas was cool. Douglas is owned by the city of Douglas, the actual land, and it was always a 1/4 mile track forever and ever and ever. They had huge American flags that they flew at the scoreboards, and they were, I mean, absolutely gigantic. In fact, we would have to have a crew. Like we would ask for people to come and volunteer to help fold the flags up because they were
Right.
so big. Like
Yep.
just what little staff we had couldn't fold them, so you had to have like 10 people
Yeah.
holding these flags so they wouldn't touch the ground. It was awesome.
And the wind's blowing.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's Douglas, Wyoming, and
Wyoming.
that's what happens in Douglas, Wyoming, is the wind blows and antelopes try to come
Yep.
on the racetrack. So whatever. But they built a like a justice center or a jail or something on the top
Sure.
end of the racetrack. They closed
Yep.
it down. Said, we're done. No more racing. We're gonna build a jail up here, and the racetrack just sat vacant for a long time. And these cats, Central Wyoming Motorsports, which I think Lance Knigge's sister
Yep.
has a part in as well. Like she's a board member on it. So they're racer, it's like racer centric, racer family. Brought it back. They brought it back as an 8th mile track. They lease it for a handful of events. It's super duper fun. I've been up to a couple of their races. They have food trucks that come out. People like literally back up their pickup trucks to the fence that's right next to the racetrack, and you can watch racing all day for like $12 or whatever it is. It's absolutely fun. Check it out. Douglas is such a cool old track, and again, it's where I cut my teeth announcing. It's where I met Darce. It's where I eventually met you, like through folks. Vince Murphy, who I was partying with this weekend, I met at Douglas. So
Yeah.
I started racing there. It's a super cool place. If you can make it up, check those guys out. Eventually, their plan is to build their own track, a track that they own.
Sure.
They're using this as a fundraising kind of thing, and to keep Wyoming racing. And Douglas was the only racetrack in Wyoming. They're still currently the only one kind of running, and it's on that really basic basis. But they're going to do something cool. I think it's going to be fun. I think they'll have something. I think they're looking up in the Casper area or around, and I think it's going to be super cool eventually. But I love Douglas. Douglas has my heart. I agree with you on Douglas. Bannermere, of course. Julesburg is great. I mean, it's a little bitty track. Those guys lay it down. Same, 3 or 4, really, really integral kind of employees that are there that have been there forever. And, they're awesome, always making improvements. And it's all pretty much coming out of, out of that dude's pocket. And
right.
He's never going to get that stuff back. And I think he said at some point he had $250,000 of his own dollars in that racetrack, and he doesn't even own it. And that's just passion, dude. Passion for drag racing and keeping that stuff alive, and giving those folks a place to go. And really, when Bannermere closed, like it's Pueblo or Julesburg, and Pueblo's had a lot of success, and Julesburg had a lot of success, and I think it's been awesome for both those tracks, and really for those racers to get out to those little tracks and just see
how it works.
Yeah, exactly. Like Bannermere is awesome, dude. It was a great track, and I hope they build something new. But at the same time, like, these people have had a little taste of these little tracks, and there's the soul is different at these places. Like, you can kind of feel the history in them, and check out those little tracks, man. Go to them. You're gonna pit in the dirt sometimes. It's not the end of the world. Dudes with cars like yours are gonna pit in the dirt. It's fine.
Yep.
It's whatever, dude. It is what it is, right? Go, show up, support these places, buy shirts, buy if they've got a beer garden, buy their beer. If they've got a concession stand, buy their hot dogs. Keep those places rolling, because we need them. We absolutely do. And they're cool, and they're supporting little families, and they're supporting little, Acton, Montana. There ain't nothing in Acton, Montana. But there's some folks around there that have jobs that they wouldn't otherwise have, and keep that stuff alive, dude. It's cool.
That track is awesome. Like, I love going up there.
Absolutely awesome. So find yourself a big track, but find yourself a little track too. Get yourself a little gangster track.
Yep.
To go party at every once in a while, because it'll keep you humble. It's fun. It's good.
Yeah, you get to see what some of these small towns are working with. Not everybody's working with the prep and everything that you're used to at these big tracks that can afford to do that. These guys are just trying to barely get by.
And at some point it becomes an equalizer. I mean, if you've
Right.
got a 730 quarter mile car and you're trying to duke it out with 640 quarter mile cars, well, if the track is the same in both lanes,
Right.
you got a shot with a
Yep.
730 car all of a sudden,
Yep.
because now you get a tree and that dude knocks the tire, and hey, dude, all your time at PPIR just paid off. You just never know. It's sort of it builds in that any given Saturday or any
Yeah.
given Sunday kind of mentality, and whatever, race the track. Don't expect the track to be flypaper every single time.
Exactly.
So
That's what I like about the drag and drive stuff is you get to see places you would never go. Like I
same,
would never purposely go to individually every track in, say, Montana or Missouri or
right?
wherever individually, but being able to do a drag and drive, it takes you to all those places. You're going to do the miles no matter what. So it
Yeah,
doesn't really matter where that takes you, to do all that stuff.
damn right. You're damn right. That's been the best part with my drag and drive stuff, and now my announcing stuff, is I get to all these weird little tracks
Yeah.
that I never would have. I mean, a ton of these tracks I never would have gone to, but to have the opportunity to go and A, race, or B, announce my homies racing, um, win-win.
Right.
New spots, check it out, meet new people, and make fun of Darce for being
Yeah.
such a huge Mustang guy now. P.S. If you guys didn't know, Darce Laws is trading every Oldsmobile he's got for Fox body or newer Mustangs. So he prefers
Pretty
SN95s
serious
or
about them.
newer, but he'll entertain some Fox bodies. But he's got he's got a lot of really high end Oldsmobiles that he's looking for S550s and S197s.
Yep.
Just keep that in mind for all you folks. No,
Anything
no more
Fox.
Oldsmobiles. Big Mustang guy. Now, um, here's the one I gave you a heads up on. Favorite drag and drive car out there. Which one, A, would you own? B, would you drive? If they're not the same.
Well, unfortunately, I don't think this car exists anymore. But my all-time favorite drag and drive car was Doug Klein's orange Camaro.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
and then car to drive, I would have to say, I think I would have the most fun driving would be Larson's pickup.
Hell yes.
I
Hell
think that would
yes.
be. I think that'd be. It's a tough tie between that and Joe Barry's 56.
Did you see he's looking for lenco stuff?
I did hit him up on that. He's not looking for what I thought he was looking for, but at least he's looking for something.
Yeah, he wants billet cases.
Yeah.
Because I think he wants to make it as light as he can make it, which is,
Sure.
I mean, whatever. But
I
he
would think
wants
he
to
could
put
have-
his car in the Havlicks FSC shootout, which you were at.
Yep.
And he wants to bring it back with the levers in it because he's
'Cause it's
Joe
cool.
MF and Barry, and he's going to put a clutch in it. So, I had him on this show. In fact, he's been on the show twice. I interviewed him and he interviewed me.
Wow.
We had a show where he interviewed me for one. But in the show that I had for him, and check it out, these are all on my podcast at the moment. These older episodes you can find on That's Cool Drink, on any of your podcast outlets. That's my little plug for myself. You're welcome. Joe Barry has never been as quick with an automatic as he has been with his lenco. His PB is still with a clutch and a lenco in that car.
Maybe damn.
So he's like, if it's slower and it's less fun, then why in the hell am I doing it? So
Because it's work.
right, it is work, and
Clutch is another job, and I don't know if I want two
Yeah.
jobs.
No, that's true. But that's his plan. He wants to bring that car back out with levers in it to next year's Havlicks FSC shootout, which they just advertised as well. So it'll be in
Nice.
August next year. It's going to be hopefully even more of those original fastest streetcar cars. That race was off the chain, and next year is going to be it's going to be even better. It's going to be absolutely great.
Yeah.
I got to announce with Altucci. You got to race on the same racetrack as, that all those awesome FSC cars. Annette Summers' car was there. and those Cars Camaros were both there, and not all three of them, but we had two of them. Man, I mean, it was absolutely amazing to
Yeah,
watch those cars out there doing their thing.
somewhere I still have VHSs of those cars. I wish I could see some of those old videos, but they're
Yeah,
probably online somewhere. But
right. If you still have the VHSs, get them converted to digital. I found a place here in Rapid City that did one for my. I had a power tour that I went on in 1998, and we took all VHS video of it, and I just switched it all to digital. It was
really,
$12 to get it. In fact, it's right here. There it is.
awesome.
Doink. See
Yeah.
that person. Digital downsizing RC would be happy to switch your VHS into a digital copy. $12. I couldn't believe it. And she wouldn't even take cash. She was like, I'd rather have it on a card. Whatever. Great. And Doug Klein's car is so good. We've talked about that a handful of times. It was all metal. It wasn't all steel. It had a lot of aluminum. I think it had aluminum fenders and hood.
Yep.
Or something like that. But it was all metal. And that car it had a Larson cage in it. I think it had a Pro Line twin turbo big block in it, just like Larson's stuff. It was quick. It was awesome. He won race week one year with it. It was a 6-second total awesome street car that had, it had all those awesome Larson touches, but that car is absolutely cool. Like absolutely amazing. In fact, he stuffed it in the sand at Vandermeer. That year he won, and that was his like famous line is, $15,000 makes this sting a little bit less. So good, good for him. And he brought that shit out from North Carolina on a flat trailer.
Right.
Yeah.
And did it all with no trailer.
Right. Yeah. Drove the whole thing with zero trailer. He had like a little like Tupperware box that he had on his wheelie bars.
And a bag full of tools.
Yep. That dude's awesome. That car is sweet. I dig on that. And then, of course, Larson's truck. I mean, that thing broke drag and drive in that drag week 2014. It was kind of the first pro mod that came out of the out of the woodwork, and he built it purpose built streetcar pro mod. And
the engineering behind that is awesome.
Yeah, it absolutely. And then I love Larry. I'm a huge Larry dude. He goes to No Prep Kings. They try to change the rules to try to kick the truck out, and he makes it the schlong bed.
Yeah,
and added. It was no shit.
Panels to it.
It was like cardboard and painted it to make the race, and eventually made a metal. But when he first showed up, they were cardboard and painted.
Right. And
he's like, now it's within your 2-inch wheelbase rule.
He figures out how to get around different rules.
Right. That dude's a gangster, and that truck was purpose built to blow the internet up with drag and drive, and he did it. And he went out like 2 weeks after that or something like that and put the thing in the 5s. He went out and won a national event with that car in Top Sportsman. And he's not even a bracket racer. Like, he used the delay box that the Fuel Tech has built into it and went out there and won Top Sportsman against dudes that bracket race drive all the time.
Right.
And that dude's a drag and drive heads up guy. He's a gangster, big fan. And he farted in my car one time. I'll tell that story when I have him on my cast. I talked to him. He wants to be on. So he might be looking at bringing something back to drag and drive for next year. So I don't know what event. I don't know what is happening, but he misses it. He wants to come back. So we'll hopefully I'll have him on soon, and he can enlighten us with his plans. And I think it's the Nova, the OG Nova that he's bringing back. So that'd be cool. We've already talked about it, but we'll ask anyway. But trailer or no trailer on a drag and drive?
I'd have to say trailer, because having that yard sale is just it's already a lot to do in the first place, and when you have to yard sale your stuff every time, And then when you're all finished making your passes and you get back to your pit and you see your yard sale that you got to now pick up and pack, trailer's the way to go because 90% of it is still in
and
the
after
trailer.
you just got kicked in the nuts 100 times, and you're like, we get to put that all back in the car.
Yeah.
I agree. I'm a trailer guy. It makes it so much easier. You don't have to unload the whole thing out all the time. You put your heavy shit in it.
Sure.
I
mean, we still haul the stuff with the pickup, and so we still have that yard sale with the pickup every time.
Right.
Just then she don't pull a trailer. So
yeah, exactly. My second to last question. So if you've got any questions out there in the comments, go ahead and throw them up here. Let's get those answered. Andrea Laws is watching, so she heard my Darce comment with the Oldsmobiles for sale. And
who's got the fastest roots blown car for drag and drive?
That's a good question. I think
drag week that I don't know. I don't know if there's drag weekers that
I don't know. I finishers. I've seen a lot start.
Yeah, I've seen.
I haven't seen a ton finish, and I think you've got to be near the top of that list. There's not very many.
I'm sure there's some that used to be blower that switched. Like Larson used to be a blower, but he switched to turbo. I don't know how fast.
But he was like 8-10 or it like.
Yeah, I have no idea.
I think you've blown him way out of the water with that. I bet you're near. You know who would be the guy to get on that is Michael Narks. That dude's a nerd of vast proportions, and he lives drag and drive. So I would imagine that you have been the quickest, especially finisher. I don't know the answer to that, but now I'm intrigued. I bet you that you've got, especially with a lenco, like a blower lenco combination. That's top alcohol.
Even
shit.
just a blower combination period. Because there's a lot of blower cars that do drag and drive, but I just don't know how many of them are actually like at that level. Like, when we first started doing this, I was just watching like Tom Bailey and Doug Klein and Larson and watching all their stuff. Like when we would fail or I would fail, I would say, "Oh, let's go follow and see what they're doing." There's got to be a way. And all the stuff we were thinking we were going to change each time, we're like watching these guys and they're not doing it. Like valve springs, I thought we were going to be killing valve springs, and we're watching them and like none of these guys are changing valve springs. Like what? Why? That we were headed down the wrong avenue of what we thought we needed to do.
Right.
When these guys are going, low 7s, high 6s, and not having to change half of what we thought.
Right. It's pretty amazing. Even the NA guys, like they recently, because valve springs have gone to shit, they're doing valve springs. But in the past, like I've talked to, damn it, I can't remember the the Camaro, naturally aspirated small block car, the fastest one, the guy. No, he's got the big block car.
No, okay, small block car.
Shit, I can't remember his name. He's got the second gen Camaro. He had the one stolen already. Now, whatever. It runs 850. It runs. He runs the valve springs to coil bind.
Right.
All the time. Jason. Yes. Jason Tascott. I was talking to him about it. I was like, "Do you change anything?" And he's like, "No, they can't oscillate if you coil bind them.
Yep.
What kills them is oscillation."
Right.
So if I put a smaller rocker arm or whatever in it, it would not crush it far enough to get enough seat pressure, and it would oscillate and break springs. So we kept it with whatever lift it's got, and it's ungodly amounts for a small block, and it won't kill valve springs. It's like it's amazing. It's super crazy. I was just thinking the one car that might be quicker than you, and I don't know if it finished or not, was the Shitbox of Doom when Crampton was driving it. Richie Crampton.
It did not finish.
It didn't finish. Okay.
No.
Yeah.
In fact, I think I don't even know if it made it on its own power to the second track.
And that it may not have. Yeah, I didn't follow it close enough. They put a no shit top of alcohol dragster motor in that car.
Right.
It
And
was
they
a
tried to
blown
use a throttle body underneath the blower also, but we had already
with the
tried
burst
that.
panel. Yeah,
Yep. We did that previously. I don't know. It was probably 3 or 4 years prior to that. And
right.
we had already figured out that didn't work. So it was interesting to watch them try to make that work, and what they found. I think that's why they threw the towel in and hung it up, because
Right.
wasn't going to happen.
Yeah. So you got to be the quickest. I'll reach out to Narks. I think that'd be a good one to get him on. I think he would. I think he'd get a kick out of that. But I bet you the quickest roots blown car, especially one that's finished, for sure.
Sure.
So
yeah, I would think you would have to.
Congratulations, you're unofficially the quickest blower car in drag and drive. Like hell yeah, way to go.
Yeah, we try.
Hell yes. Again, throw comments that you want or questions you want to get answered. I'm down to my last two. What advice would you have for a newbie, and specifically a dude that wants to do what you're doing? A dude coming in with a roots car. What advice do you have to a dude bringing his race car on drag and drive?
Well, before you start trying to do a drag and drive, you better put some miles on. And
Yep.
if you got drive, if you're prepared to work, that's perfect. If you like being overheated and work your ass off, that's how you're going to have to do it with a blower car. Or at least I haven't figured out a way not to.
Right.
But
Right.
I think the person getting into drag and drive, the biggest thing is you gotta like driving your car that many miles, or appreciate it anyways.
Right. Because you're going to sit in it for 12 hours a day,
and you won't even realize you were in it 12 hours a day. You know what I mean? Like, people think about, oh my God, you're in it from here to Kearney, Nebraska. Like, that's got to be miserable, but you don't even think of it that way when you're driving it. It's just like, okay, here's the next town, or here's the next town.
Or here's the next checkpoint, or here's where we can get fuel, or whatever. It's a lot of how to eat an elephant. It's one bite at a time. You just do one thing, and next thing you know, you're there.
Yeah.
I agree.
You'll have way more fun driving your car on the road than you ever will at a racetrack, in my opinion. Race cars, they get lost at the racetrack. Race cars they just blend in with the rest.
Right.
But people appreciate seeing hot rods on the highway.
It's such a different thing that exists. It just, you don't see. When's the last time you saw like this driving down the road? You do all the time, but regular dudes don't see that driving down the road, and you might see that at a racetrack.
Sure,
they exist around. There might be 10 varieties of something like this,
right?
Or whatever, 30,
which is what you'd expect to see. Yeah,
right. And exactly.
And being able to get pictures of your car cruising down the highway, like 1320 does a killer job. And there's several other photographers that are doing an awesome job with all that. That part is almost like the appreciation comes back to you. You're seeing what you're doing.
Right.
How cool is that to be able to drive your car down the highway like that? And with Sick Week going on, that's a whole nother level of, okay, now I get to take my car and cruise along the coast.
Cruise along the coast in beautiful weather and on absolutely amazing racetracks.
Yep, on a sandy beach. That just sounds like a pipe dream.
Right, exactly. For a little farm boy from northern Colorado,
that's the opportunities are endless.
Yeah, you end up in cool ass spots, and you end up with one of the coolest cars on the whole place, and. Yeah, dude, you're all of a sudden even if just for a day, you're kind of a big shot, and that's a cool ass.
Sure, but you can still have fun. You can still have fun, not even going fast. You know what I mean? Like, people think, oh, my car's not fast enough, or this or that, and I think that's just an excuse, because there's way cooler cars than mine that aren't near as fast, but they are. There's a lot of hard work that's been put into these cars that these guys just have just as much fun, or it's their style, or it's their taste of their pride and joy.
Right. And like I'm a no bar streetcar guy. I don't like putting bars on my stuff. So I'm a 1150 guy. That's just that's just where I sit, and I'm fine
Right.
with that. Like I like being able to get in and out of my car. I like being able to put people in the back seat of my car. I like not having a race car that I try to
Right.
drive on the street. It's the other way around. I have a street car that I attempt to
Right.
race. But it's for me, that's my goal. 1150 mufflers, NA,
Yep.
fully like I drive it on the street. And
Right.
dude, I don't care who you are. It's a fast fucking street car. 1150 car at any
It's
given
fast.
time, and
Yep.
unless you're on a drag and drive, it's the fastest car on the street, no matter
Yep.
what. Now
Yep.
you get your like head wrapped around driving on the road next to your car, and
You're
it's
still
just
the
different.
fastest car because
It's
my
just
car doesn't
different,
do that on the
right?
street.
Exactly. If we raced on the street, I've seen your car with the diesel truck tune
Right.
on the street. Like if we raced on the street with you unprepared, your car probably runs in the 13s.
Right.
I mean, that's just is what it is. But
Sure.
keep that in mind. Like it's a weird thing being an 1150 guy with 6 second friends,
Yeah.
but it,
Well,
an
and
11
since I've
an
started,
1150 street car is a fast fucking street car.
right. I mean, since I got interested in the drag and drive, I don't know how many and I don't know how many it would be, but there's quite a few people that I know of that have gotten interested and got into it because I was because they saw what we were doing, and they're like,
Right.
well, if he can do it with that car, we can do it with our car,
Right.
which is, that's true. It's legitimately, if we can do it, pretty much anybody can do it because we're doing it the hardest way you can do it. So you should be able to simplify that.
No, for sure, man. And I mean, even dudes, like Boo Quamzo, he kind of did the same. He took an X275 car,
Yep.
put 235s on it, and Rowdy Radio raced it.
Yep.
But it's an X275 car. Like it's a race car.
Right.
I mean, those things are no cooling system on methanol. I mean, they're gangster ass race cars. He threw a radiator in it, put it on the street, and put little bitty tires on it, and he did it. Like you can do that if you have a race car and you want to have more fun with it than just towing it to the racetrack and enjoying it for a day or two. Figure out drag and driving that shit. You will have absolutely. I mean, if you're bored with your program, drag and drive your car. Period. Figure it out.
Warn you, if you're trying to get into it, it is addicting. It's the only reason your project car is going to get finished,
right?
Because you have the date of when you have to do it, and then once you do it, even if you fail, you're going to figure out how to do it better or how you're going to finish it.
Right.
And it's addicting. Like you're going to keep doing it and keep doing it until you finally finish it. And pretty soon it just becomes a lifestyle of what you build around.
Totally.
It makes a race car so much more reliable at the track. And it's as far as like what we used to do for maintenance versus what we do now. It's the car is so much, I'm more comfortable with the car because you have so many more miles, how it acts.
Right.
There's a lot of guys, I feel like when they get in the race car, they don't have a clue how that's going to react, and it shows.
Right. And when you're 600 miles from your tow rig,
yeah,
you have
to
do
what you got to do to make
you
it.
got to get your bullshit back, and part of that is driving it long distances in heat in whatever, and
you do what you got to do to make it.
You figure it out.
Jason
at More
Performance
says
trailer.
It's the best addiction there is. It absolutely is. It absolutely is. And I tell people all the time, like, I'm sorry because you're ruined for life. And you don't even know it yet. Like rookies, I really push on the rookie thing a lot. Like I love rookies. I love bringing people into this thing and giving them a little bit of something to duke out between themselves. I do the Rookie of the Year award every year at Race Week. Just come up with my $250 of my own dollars, beg, borrow, and steal money throughout the week. And I split my money between a young gun and a rookie. Young guns are the future of our sport. Under 21. I'm a 45-year-old dude. Like, I don't know. Frank Romano said it best. Like, how many more summers do you think you have? And
sure.
On top of that, how many more summers do you think you can do what you're doing? Like, I know you had a health scare here recently, and that brings it to reality. Like, how if we can't do this, I really love to think that people that are the younger generation and the brand new people getting into drag and drive are the people that are going to carry this torch for the next generation, and they're going to tell their friends, and then it's going to continue on for another generation. So
Right.
I'm a big proponent of bringing in rookies and bringing in these kids because the world's in good shape if we have dudes like the Mackeys, like
Yep.
Austin Mackey and those cats that are racing constantly. Your daughter,
Yep.
she's raced juniors and she's getting ready. She'll probably be getting ready to be getting into a junior street car here pretty quick, I would
She
guess.
actually raced Junior Street at Big Sky and won that deal.
Yeah,
Junior
see,
Street. But
there
yeah,
you
she's having
go.
a blast doing it too.
Yeah, so that's, I mean, it's so cool to watch. Everyone is always worried about the future of drag racing, but if you come to a drag and drive, especially one with Junior Street in it, you will see that I think we are in good hands, man. Like the
Yeah.
next generation of these guys and gals that are doing this and doing it at a high level, we're gonna be in good shape. And
Yeah.
and I can say with 100% certainty that being a crew chief for someone that you like really care about is maybe as much fun as racing and then some. Like
Sure.
if and when we get to a point where we can't do this and we're helping move on that next generation, it's at least as much fun. I promise you. I promise you. So, my last question, and if you got any more questions to throw up there, Vintage Vehicle Adventures, you're awesome, dude. You've been on all night checking out and in the comments, you're awesome. There's a bunch of tracks in Montana. The one we just went to is Yellowstone. It's in Acton, Montana. It's outside of Billings. The Big Sky Race Week though went to 4 different tracks, right?
Yes.
Do you
Started
remember
and
where?
stopped in Billings. One of the tracks was in Malta. I don't remember the names of the tracks.
Right.
The other one was in Lewistown, and then Anaconda. I don't remember the town that it's named. That track is
Right.
in. Pretty much that whole week is kind of a blur when you're trying to do drag and drive. You just
No, for
focus.
sure. And
Where's my
there.
next turn type deal.
No, I get it. I get it.
Where we were, what route we were on, or
But
how we got to
there are
tracks.
4 tracks in Montana.
There
They
are.
were able to build an 1/8 mile drag and drive.
Yep.
Based on
Two of the
only
tracks
on
were.
tracks in Montana.
Yep. Two of the tracks were 1/8 mile, so I think they just went ahead and made everything 1/8 mile,
Right.
which actually worked out great. I mean, I don't mind running 1/8 mile and any different than quarter mile. It's
Yeah.
you got
I mean,
less
you
real
don't beat
estate to try to
yourself
get
up.
it done. Yep.
And,
You got real.
I mean, you're not running all the RPM at the top end. I got no problem with 1/8 mile events. Like
Yeah.
Street and Yeet, they do 1/8 mile on their thing, and
Sure.
they lay it down out there. Even Race Week has done a couple of events where faster cars run the 1/8 mile, and they build a quarter mile for them. It's a necessary evil with drag and drive because you're at the mercy of being
The
in
tracks.
stone's reach of another track,
Yep.
and if what you've got is what you got, then that's what you run with. It's no
Yep.
big deal. Vintage Vehicle Adventures again, dude. Yeah. If you just have a race car and you want to, you start drag and driving that stuff, you will 100% love it. I promise you, you will not feel like your time switching your car to go to the street is in vain. I promise you. Like you're gonna have fun.
Yeah.
Um,
It's a good time. You meet a lot of people.
yeah,
Everywhere you go, you meet new friends. And I mean, we've been on vacations with people we've met that we would have never met had we not done a drag and drive.
right. And it like I always say, like now your Facebook Marketplace has expanded because you have people that will go out of their
Yeah,
way
pick something up for you.
to go pick up your stuff, parts, cars, whatever. And now you have this like family of folks that will. I mean, it's happened in the past where people have changed like a project car, from trailer to trailer to trailer, and moved it
Yeah.
nearly fully across the country for $0. Like no money has changed hands to move a car from like Arizona to Pennsylvania or something like that. It's been
Right.
it's wild. So and all of a sudden you're in that fraternity because you're one of us, and it's a thing. So yeah, man, race car friends are the best. Again, my last question. If you got any more, let's get them answered. We'll put them up there. What updates you have coming for your ride? We talked about this a little bit, and where will people see you slash the nightmare slash the new car next?
I have no idea what we're doing next with the new car. That kind of just depends on how things go with testing and getting the bugs worked out of that, because I have no idea how that's going to pan out. I plan on doing Big Sky again.
Cool.
Um, I don't really.
I mean, you're the defending champ. I mean, you gotta
right.
go defend your
Yeah,
championship.
I really like it up there. I mean, there's not a whole lot of places that I've been that'd be like I got to go back to that place, but that I really like going up there. So
yeah, hell yeah.
I don't have a whole lot of plans for the Mustang really. Probably
just keep it alive and drive
Douglas. Yeah, Douglas is probably the next event. If it's together, I might do a Toys for Tots this winter with it if the weather's good enough and don't have to throw snow tires or paddles on it. So,
just put some 33 mud tires, it'll be fine.
Right.
No big deal.
I think that's probably about it for the Mustang. I don't plan on doing any more with it for a little while, but those plans can change at any given moment.
You just never know.
You never know what you tear up. So,
and what about the? Are you going to get Shalise back behind the wheel of the dead side?
I think we're going to try to work on getting this Camaro to kind of be a dual sport type car to where she's comfortable. I'm going to test the shit out of it and see what we can do with the car and see how far up and how far down we can turn this thing and then we'll figure out what she wants to do with it.
Hell yeah.
My daughter will probably start racing the pickup, I'm guessing.
Okay. That makes sense.
She'll be 16 next spring. So she's been driving it with her permit and stuff.
Hell yeah.
And racing it on Junior Street stuff whenever she's available to go. So, but right now I think that's probably about all we'll do with it.
Yeah, totally. And Jason said perfectly, just show up. Doesn't have to be perfect. Just make it reliable enough to make the drives. And I would definitely, I'm a big proponent of street driving your stuff first. Like, make sure it can live for 100 miles at a time.
Yeah, you really need to drive it and get it heat soaked. Like, really actually drive it. You're not going to wear it out and take time off of it to go to a drag and drive. Like, and I always I don't want to do anything before because, doing this pass now may be the difference. Well, unfortunately, if it's going to break, it's going to break, and you'd rather do it before.
Right. Totally.
So make sure your charging system's up to par, and that's the biggest thing is people don't, your cooling system and your charging system. Those two things need to be up to par for about anything. And if those two, if they suck, it's going to.
You're going to hate it, dude. If you're gonna slowly melt your shit down, you're going to be unhappy the whole time.
Spend the money on good
power. Yep. Yeah, I agree. I agree with you 100%. And make sure you can drive your crap at night. That's a big thing. Like, especially like race week races at night, but you got to get to your hotel. Like, there's going to be some night driving no matter what. And
sometimes it's all night.
Sometimes, and especially drag week, sick week, like some of those where they race in the morning. And if you don't get a really good first or second pass, you might not be leaving the track till 3.
That's me.
You got an 8-hour drive ahead of you. Dude, you're not getting there till 11. If your crap sucks to drive at night, you are going to hate your life. Make sure it has good lights. You don't want to mess with any of that. So make sure it can drive at night. That's even if it's just race week and you're just driving back to your hotel. If none of that crap works and your lights are overpower your fans / fuel pumps for your street drive stuff, you're gonna hate yourself. Make sure it can drive at night. That's a big deal. And your cooling system typically won't be as big of a deal at that point, but your charging system will. So check all that stuff out. Make sure it's good. Pat Cook, I talked to Royce about Mega Week next year. He's really uncommittal because he wants to bring the new car possibly. But yeah, I think I imagine we probably won't see Royce at Mega Week. We'll see what happens. But it's I kind of did the same thing, and he was like, I just, I'm sick and tired of bringing a knife to a gunfight. I don't know about, 600 cars at the same time, same place.
Sure.
And I got a new car. I'd really like to bring it out and maybe don't want to unveil it, um, in the middle of all that stuff. So we'll see what happens with that. If nothing else, you'll probably see Royce at, I would imagine, sick. Are you signed up for 666?
I did not sign up for that because I had no idea where we would be at for workload at work and stuff like
Right,
that.
right.
I probably better sit that one out and watch
Yeah,
from the
watch from the sidelines.
yeah. But I
Um,
think that would be a great time. I just starting and stopping at opposite
Different
ends of the
tracks.
country is like, man, I don't know.
Right.
That seems like a lot. I'd have to leave a
Well,
vehicle somewhere, and
right. Well,
I'll be on
Haley's going.
standby for anybody that needs a chase
So,
vehicle. I guess I
right,
can make a quick
right.
fix somewhere and recover somebody.
Hell yes. And Vintage Vehicle Adventures, you're 6 hours north in Canada. We actually had a bunch of Canada racers at Yellowstone.
Yeah,
From up in the up in that world. So it's a shorter drive for you than it is for like Royce. So that there was a bunch of Canadians out that way. So definitely worth the trip. Check it out for sure
yeah.
next chance you get. But that said, Royce, I'm through all my stuff. We
Right
we
on.
we answered all the questions. We went over 2 hours, which is my back held in there, but I'm done, man. I'm out, and we're past 9, which is my bedtime is 9:20, so
Yeah,
we're pretty much there. But dude, thanks so much. This is super fun, and I keep saying it every week, like these just go by super duper quick, and I
it
feel
goes
like we
quick.
could go 2 more hours and dig really into it. But dude, I appreciate you sitting down and talking roots blower, freaking EFI with a gigantic stack, Mustang, dragon driving with us,
Yeah,
and rapping for a little bit, dude. It was cool.
yeah, no problem.
Absolutely. So, dude, thank you so much. Good luck wherever we see you next,
Yeah,
and keep doing big gigantic burnouts with
yeah, we'll try.
with whatever you get, because
Yeah, that's gonna be. Yeah, that's a sketchy one there.
don't do any more of this. How about that? I mean,
No, no more drifting.
you almost hit the 60-foot cone. I told you it was
Yeah,
Iowa, not Tokyo. So
that was such a that was a ride. Like it had so much wheel speed. I had to grab a handful of steering wheel when it came back around the other way. Like
yeah,
that was a lot.
yeah.
That's probably the worst I've had it.
You did some damn good driving there.
Yeah, just
So
reaction.
yeah, exactly.
Just
It's
along for the
secondhand
ride.
because you're used to driving it in the rain. It's no big deal.
Yeah,
Easy peasy.
yeah.
Cool. I will pop you in the background. I'll bring you back after we're done to say thanks again. But um, again, dude, this was super fun. I appreciate you coming on and having a couple
Thanks.
of drinks with us and spilling the beans with the new car and everything that's going on.
You bet.
So sweet, man. I'll throw you in the background and talk to you soon.
All right. Have a
Totally. Guys, wow. How much fun was that? Danny, thanks so much for tuning in. Danny, if you guys don't know, big Bonneville dude, helps out a bunch of folks out there. I met him out there. We shared some time. Thanks so much for tuning in, Danny, and checking this all out. Man, Vintage Vehicle Adventures, appreciate you being on all night as well. And all our normal folks, all the Royce Payton fans, and maybe he's even got a couple of haters out there watching. I don't care. Thanks for watching. Like, it was cool. Make sure you share this stuff around. I'm having the absolute time of my life. Really just interviewing my friends and getting to spill the beans about some stuff. It is absolutely so much fun. So, yeah, man, this has become absolutely successful. It's been very fun. Share it around. Make sure you like, you subscribe, you hit the things and whatnot. Like I said, many a times, this is maybe the biggest sleeper kind of podcast that's out there. I have had some like absolute heavy hitters. I have had some absolute like everyman interviews on this. It's been really fun. So thanks so much to everybody for tuning in. Next week, I am doing a what you need to know before 2.0. It's going to be a collaboration. I'm going to have Matt on. We're going to talk about race week. It's going to be on the 10th. Same bat time, same bat channel. We may or may not be doing that on this channel. We may be doing it on the Rocky Mountain Race Week channel. We may be doing it on Bang Shift. We're trying to figure all that logistics out, but pay attention. I will send out an event and we'll have all that information because race week's coming up very, very soon. So if you are signed up for race week, it'll be like a little early drivers meeting. So make sure you tune in for that. I will be pumping that on the RMRWers page. But that said, guys, thank you so much again for tuning in. That's Cool Drink, episode 53 with Royce Payton. We are done.